Hello and welcome to Webcertain TV. Belgium is not a widely discussed country when it comes to digital marketing, yet like all markets, understanding the internet landscape and the online behaviour of its netizens will ensure your marketing efforts reap rewards. Joining us today to talk more about the country is Belgian digital marketer Leon Termote.
Hi, Gemma.
Hi Leon, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
That's great. So we'll just start off with a few general questions about the kind of online market in Belgium. You know, what are the key online trends and behaviours that we might see there?
Well, Belgium is not a big country, obviously. We're 11 million people. We've got a fairly decent internet penetration, as in 85% almost now, which makes quite a relevant market to address in terms of digital marketing, obviously. But the trends and behavior, from what I know from my personal experience, is basically mainly leisure activity, and you can see just that by having the top 5 sites that are consulted from Belgian audience. It's basically Facebook, YouTube a lot, and people love to just spend leisure time on it, and it's not necessarily to buy things. Or though I must say that lately I've seen an increased trend on people to look up information about product and look up information on just what they're going to buy, not necessarily converting and making the purchase, but looking up information.
Yeah, so it could well be a research online, but still would prefer to go and maybe buy in store or...
Exactly. Now, I'll come back to that, but I have a biased view on this because I come from Brussels, which is the main city. So obviously it's quite of a different trend, I guess, when it comes to the different region of Belgium.
Okay, so it's a bit... Let's explore that a little bit then. So what do you see the main differences between them?
Well, what I see is that Brussels, obviously being the main city with the most number of inhabitants, obviously we have, like all cities, we have shops, we have shopping mall and shopping streets, and people love, from my experience again, but people love to go to stores and try out things, and maybe the online shopping is not as developed because of it, but that's because of Brussels. Now, in smaller towns, smaller cities in Belgium, obviously people will be more willing to buy online, I suppose,
because they can't find the goods in a local store.
Obviously,
that makes sense. And what about kind of mobile then? Because obviously we know that that's always a topic we talk about now, and is that also popular in Belgium? That's
an excellent question, actually, because Belgium is quite specific. Looking at the numbers, and I've been looking it up lately, and it's really funny because it is lower than most Western and Central European market. The broadband, mobile broadband integration is really low. People tend not to go on mobile that much. I think the latest stat that I've seen from a survey was 30% of average, obviously, Belgian consumer having made a purchase on mobile devices, which is fairly low. As for the rest of Europe, Western Europe, it usually ranges across around 50%. So 30% is fairly low. People just seem not to be exactly buying from their mobile yet. At least yet. It's increasing, obviously, but it's quite low in Belgium.
Okay, so still very important to focus on desktop as well as PC.
Absolutely.
As well as mobile, sorry.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I would say mobile is still relevant. It's as I said, picking up, but it's not as important as other market at the moment.
Okay. And do you think that e-commerce is something that's likely to develop as well? You know, people even in the bigger cities start to see the benefit of buying online? Absolutely.
Yeah, no, e-commerce is definitely picking up. And from, again, my personal experience, I've seen friends and even family, and they start to just using websites. So the last time I've been to Belgium, I've been introduced to a few websites from my friend. They're just saying, yeah, this is new, this is really great. And these are Belgian websites on which you can buy, or it's also second-hand website. And those there you see many websites just starting to popping in, and they appear, and they are successful because people are still looking for that. Again, not necessarily from mobile, but from desktop browsing. But it's definitely picking up.
So do you think there would be there is an opportunity for kind of international businesses then to come into the market with e-commerce sites where maybe there aren't, because it's not so popular, and maybe there aren't as many options.
There is
Take some of that
definitely
market.
there is definitely an opportunity. Now, for the Belgian market, there's quite a few characteristic to keep in mind. And from what I've read and from my personal experience, there are 4 key factors for all e-commerce retailer that would want to integrate the market, penetrate the Belgian market. And those are the visibility. You need to have perfect visibility as of tracking the purchase, and you need to give the ability for customer to be able to track. Very relevant actually for Belgian customer that I know. You need to have also full transparency as a total cost. People just love to have the total cost straight from the start.
Yeah.
Well, this is a common trend, I believe, of it. You also have the delivery options. Sorry, the delivery options. These are the delivery options are relevant because basically people still like, as I said, to go to shops. So you do, as an e-commerce shop, site, you do want to offer the option of people being able to collect purchases from store or having delivery home. So you have quite a few things that you need to pay attention to, but there's definitely opportunity.
So just talking about some of the things to think about when you're targeting Belgium, one thing, of course, important is language. And it's challenging because it doesn't just have one language, one official language. So which languages are important to think about when you're localizing a site?
Here we go, and that's that is the question in Belgium. We have 3 national languages. These are German, Dutch, and French. I start with German. Well, I shouldn't, because German is very small. It's for the eastern side of the country, and really I wouldn't consider German to be a language relevant for Belgium. It's basically French and Dutch. And there it becomes really tricky because we have this Belgian concern, I would say, between the north and south, where basically you do not want to mix it up. You do want to have everything on your side, or every campaign you proceed to have in Dutch and French, because those 2 languages are relevant. And if you are targeting the north of Belgium with French, you will not only not convert, but you will also affect negatively your brand, because again, south of Belgium speaks mostly French, if not entirely. North of Belgium speak Dutch, and this is key. In Brussels, it's both language, but definitely whenever you think about digital landscape in Belgium, you need to keep those 2 languages in mind.
So picking just one really will be, it's not just going to lose, like you say, it's not just going to lose you money, it's going to probably really affect your reputation.
Exactly. And this is where another aspect come into play is geo-targeting. That's even better. If you could geo-target the south of Belgium, the different main cities for French speaker, and have your French campaign running for those. And the same for the north of the country, where you actually do it in Dutch. That is absolutely brilliant. Obviously, that would be the best option. Again, because your Netherlands, your Dutch language won't convert in the south of Belgium. So that's that.
And you're saying kind of French and Dutch there. So is it French that would be used in France and Dutch that would be used in the Netherlands, or are there variances there as well? I
have, funny enough, I've had the question many times, and the French from Belgium, although my French friends are always teasing me, but it's the same. Let's say it. Let's put it out there. It's exactly the same. There is very little difference, and a campaign that you run in France would perfectly work in Belgium for French. Dutch is slightly more different. They call it Flemish, the language that we the Dutch from Belgium. Dutch from the Netherlands would be different. You have quite a few differences, and you would you would need to have a look into Flemish translation rather than Dutch, because they use quite a few different words. So
it is important to consider that as well. And what about cultural factors alongside language factors? You've mentioned a few things about, the way that they would like to buy online. Are there any other things to consider that you need to be aware of on your website?
I mean, yes, I have 2 things popping up in my mind now, and I don't know up to which extent they're relevant for digital marketing, but they're relevant for Belgian audience in general. And I would say First thing is Belgians are not too patriotic. I mean, they are obviously, like in the country, but in terms of e-commerce or buying from a foreign retailer, there would be no issue if you're buying some products from a foreign brand rather than a Belgian brand.
Okay.
That's important to keep in mind because that also raised the opportunity of having a shop in Belgium. Now, another aspect is also we're not too serious, and I mean this sounds funny, but it is actually true. It's a global mentality that we are not taking ourselves too seriously generally, and that I've seen many examples where ads just work better when they're not too serious and you want to keep it funny and just
so light and amusing and not trying to be too.
Exactly, that is it.
Yeah, well, that's certainly something to consider. And then the final kind of area to look at is social media, because of course now you can't really talk about digital without social. So, and you mentioned that Facebook and YouTube are kind of among the most popular sites. So they're obviously, are there any local Belgian sites that people use, or is it really the main global sites?
No, there's really just Facebook.
Yeah.
Facebook is number one, and by a huge margin. It's actually quite hilarious to look at. Twitter has been introduced pretty much at the same time as Facebook, and yet it's not picking up as much. For business, it definitely works, but my friends, I have so many examples where they don't even have a Twitter because it's just.
So if you're targeting consumers, Twitter, which is always probably similar in a lot of countries, but more so maybe in Belgium. Yeah,
no, absolutely. So Facebook first, definitely, followed by YouTube. And then we do have Twitter, obviously. LinkedIn would be the third one, actually. LinkedIn is quite popular, not only for professional relationships, but as well for people starting to read on LinkedIn and, inform themselves. So that's something. And yes, that would be it for social media. I don't think there's anything more specific.
And kind of what do people use it for? Is it mainly social for kind of entertainment and keeping in touch rather than maybe finding out about brands, or how important is it for a brand to have a social presence?
That's actually a good point, because you make me think of one aspect that I've read from a statistic. It's that basically from 1,000 Belgian survey, there was only 1 out of 3, so 30%, 33% of the audience surveyed that would like the brand on Facebook. Now that is very relevant, because you would think, well, why would I even have a presence on Facebook then if my consumer are not going to like my brand? But then if you look at the other statistic, it's more than 95% are actually engaged and read all your update and your brand messages,
okay, so
and they get involved. Exactly. Wow. And this is where I think you can see a trend in Belgium, is that people won't necessarily. It's not easy to capture your audience, but when you do, they will be loyal and they will be just active on the social platform. So that is relevant to keep in mind, I believe. So
it's worth the investment in the initial stages, because it will pay off.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. You do need a social media presence for your brand, and if you manage it well, then you will get the reward out of it. So that's that.
Great. So just finally, any other points that we haven't covered maybe that you think would be, any main tip that you'd give somebody, a business starting out in Belgium?
Well, I would say go and visit, because it's a beautiful country. It's I think we've covered the most important thing is really the language that you need to keep in mind for everything that you do, whether would it be social activity, whether would it be paid advertisement, anything really needs to be approach with this bilingual set of mentality. So yeah, that's the most important thing.
Great. Well, it's really interesting to talk to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gemma.